Greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 621. How to find, how to actually record corporate trust minutes. So this is definitely one that we definitely gonna make sure y'all know what it is. But definitely excited for this particular episode. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Speaking here, thank you directly. Look forward to seeing people at the workshop in Chicago on the 26th. We actually have that workshop coming up. Hey, some people think like, oh man, Trust Christian, we need to see it. We need to see it. We need to see it to believe it. Well, seeing to believing gets people in trouble, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a thing called faith. There is a thing called imagination. There is a thing called visualization. And for that reason, you have to create and co create at that. We are co creators. This education isn't for everybody, because if it was, then we all would know it. But we don't, because it's not for everybody. There are people that suppress this information, they go against it, and they suppress it from other people knowing it. So, definitely excited about the workshop coming up with Brent, with Tiffany, with Dr. Bay. And, we appreciate this. And so it's interesting. We're gonna this is we don't want to say this episode is gonna be all over the place, but just bear with us on this particular episode, because even somebody typing into the chat right away, appreciate E Dones. Was it E Duns? Definitely appreciate you for typing in that it is a co-creator situation and as well as to be private. But we want to address one of these issues that people, they keep reaching out to the vault and they always talk about being private. But if you're going to be private, in the private sector, we have mentors. It is a protege, mentee, mentor relationship environment. It is not public school. When you join private trustee training, it's one-on-ones. It's not a group setting. Granted, we do have a workshop coming up, but at the end of the day, it's all about one-on-ones, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the part people sometimes have challenges hearing, because they so used to going to public school and getting this broad education and taking tests and things of that nature. Trusteeship, I remember sitting in front of the mentor asking them, hey man, I need a test, mentor, I need a test. I used to ask the mentor that. Trust Christian used to ask the mentor, give him a test for trusteeship. He said, Trust Christian, there is no test. You just have to live it. That's not an easy pill for people to swallow, because it relies on their intuition. It relies on their self-reliance, their ability to think. We were talking to Dr. Bay. People would sit here and reach out to us talking to us about Dr. Bay. First of all, Dr. Bay never had a job working for another man a day of his life. Did you? It's easy to go get a job. You know how challenging it is to start a business and run a business your whole life? Let's talk about it though. But you got people that want to reach out to the vault and say, oh man, Trust Christian Dr. Bay, he doesn't do it the way I want to do it. First of all, Dr. Bay is a multi-millionaire. Are you? No wonder he's not going to do it the same way you're not doing it. You're not a multi-millionaire, are you? You think billionaires do the same thing you do? You think a multi-millionaire is going to do the same thing you do if you're not that? Simple. Oh man, Dr. Bay, he doing it a different way than I think we should do it. First of all, what business have you built with that's been in multiple states where you had to manage people? Have you? Then you might want to take notes and not be so egotistical. But we living in this environment where, hey, I got an opinion. Everybody should have an opinion. No, everybody should not have an opinion. We need to stick with the facts. Can things get better? Yes. Can things improve? Yes. Simple as that. But we're going to talk about this corporate minute stuff, because people who do want to get better, the trustees reach out to the vault all the time. Oh, Trust Christian Vault. First of all, we're going to address this for the ones that haven't reached out to the vault, the ones that have reached out to the vault, but they want to say stuff that it's just disheartening. First of all, if you come on the line with Trust Christian in the vault, and you don't create corporate minutes on your own, and you have a public entity, literally sat on the line with some people recently, they gonna tell us they not creating corporate minutes, but they got a corporation and it's making over $250,000 a year. This is the type of mentality that we engage with. Oh, Trust Christian, are you exposing the clientele? No, we're sharing actual real life case studies, because more often than not, there are many people, at least 50% of entrepreneurs, the ones that make it, The ones that are trying to make it, are they recording their corporate minutes? So we're gonna give y'all some easy tips today on how to actually do that. A lot of value when it comes to how to create these corporate minutes, how to create the trust minutes. Oh, trust Christian vote is hard, man. I don't know. I can't stay consistent. How do you stay consistent? So here we go. We're gonna share with y'all today that the main thing is if it's gonna be public or private, that's something you want to distinguish. Once you distinguish that it's gonna be public or private, you create a minute, a document, maybe a formal one that says we're going to record lessons. Record lessons could be a verbal audio lesson, or it could be a visual minute. Excuse, not audio lesson, but a visual of audio minute, or a visual minute. See, a lot of trustees don't understand there's high levels of creativity and flexibility as a trustee because you're in control. So when you're in control as the trustee, you are okay. If you got to create minutes, does it say in the document that you have to create it a specific way? If it doesn't say that, then update and amend the doc so you can do sit in front of the camera like we have trustees now sitting in front of the Zoom creating a minute. They create a minute on Zoom, they record it, and then they also have a transcription. They also have a video recording. These are video recordings that you could pass along to your successors. Big deal. Why? Because when you're in an environment now where your successor trustees, not only do they get to listen and like transcribe as well what went on in the meeting, they can also look at your facial expressions. See, we live this over here at the Vault. We don't talk about it. So, okay, once again, if you create a visual minute for the successor or for anyone else, won't y'all start recording y'all minutes visually? Looking at your face when you state, hey, this how much money the trust made this month. This how much money we lost and expensed out this month. And just have it recording you and look at your face when you saying that. That's how your successor trustees are going to take it. Were they happy? Were they confident in the decisions that they making? See, you can create a minute on paper and just write, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. But what happens when you start speaking and somebody can hear the minute and they hear the lack of confidence in your voice at certain times because they've heard various audio lessons throughout a period of time? Same thing with visual minutes. They've seen those visual minutes, so they just go back and they say, okay, this person wasn't confident when they made this decision, or they were unsure, or they were under a lot of pressure. We could see that they were under a lot of stress. Oh, that's why it's so important to keep a diary. Why? Because if a successor looks at the diary, they can see that that's a separate lifestyle than the corporate or the trust minutes itself. They can see that. How long does it need to be? Well, y'all know how long y'all could talk. Some people can't even talk that long. They don't have a lot to talk about. Some people say, oh, I don't have a lot to talk about in the beginning. I just open up the trust document. So I just open up the trust. I didn't even put anything in here. I don't have anything to put in here yet. Okay, cool. Then you go back and you create a minute forward looking. Because right now you're not able to look at your feet because you don't because you may or may not have anything. But somebody says, hey, I got a forward look, then you got a forward look, so you look forward. Okay, this is what we gotta do. Okay, right, this is what we want to do. How about that? Corporate and trust minutes describe what you want to do. So here we go, virtual. We're going to go through a minute and how it would sound if you all were listening to a corporate minute from Trust Christian at the Vault. Okay, for example, because remember, in a meeting, you can have various different agenda topics that you're going to talk about. So let's cover that. There's various different things you can talk about, but we're going to start out the bullet points, highlight bullet points, highlight bullet point to be like, all right, well, X, Y, and Z Trust is having a trust minute right now. And in this minute, this is the time, this is the date, this is who's present at this meeting. Uh, we are here to talk about whether you have a line item of things to talk about, or you're in a position where you're going to just piecemeal it and do one-on-one things instead of just name them all out at one. So one of the books you can get is called Robert's Rules. That's old school. Whereas and that's very formal. Whereas another book that we tell our trustees to grab is Vern Harnish's book called The Rockefeller habits. So the Rockefeller habits, once again, we know who's going to read this information. First of all, we know who's going to get it, because why? The Rockefeller habits requires that you mastermind. That means you have to have more than one trustee, or you have to have someone that you're working with outside of yourself. So how do you record them? Once again, name of the entity, time, date, who's present, what we're here to talk about, what did we decide on each of these bullet points, various different bullet points. uh After we found out what we're going to talk about, once we talked about it and we resolved it, we just have very, very clear in the messaging and of the recording that this is uh, a minute, and this is the time. Once again, this is who's present. We've unanimously agreed, and forward looking, this is what we have planned for our next agenda. And all of these decisions that we made today, we're going to double check these. We're going to double back down on them, and then we're going to revote. So let's just say you get to the end of the meeting and you have to vote. Okay, you vote something in. Okay, now it's on the books, but it's not cemented. It's not memorialized. So how do we memorialize it? What we do is we just make it a point to uh, vote on it again in clear conscience. So that's why we're having a workshop coming up here. What is that? Is it November? Was it November the 3rd? November the 3rd. Right now, we're going to do a read the trust document. Read the trust document, or pretty much knowing the five elements that create a contract, which is in trusteeship. So very, very important for a lot of trustees. A lot of trustees have reached out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. How to record corporate and trust minutes. Simple as that. How do you do it? You can do it visually. So nowadays, a lot of people don't know that you can do it on your cell phone, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all can create a camera that flips back on you and just sit in front of the camera and do a corporate minute. Once you take that corporate minute, you can put it on some type of platform. A lot of trustees always talk about being private. First of all, if it's on the internet, is it private? No. So the trust document is not on the internet then. For all the trustees that reached out throughout the years, if your trust document is on the internet, it's not private. It's public. It's called the World Wide Web. Those things come before xyz.com. Now, there's this company right now that you guys can look into, which is 23andMe. 23andMe is a company that just had a bunch of independent advisors to the corporate board, which this is a $100 million plus company valuation wise, and they're taking people's sensitive medical data, and the owner of the company, quote unquote, said we're going to keep it private. So this is where you have to question things. Like you have to wonder, like how much are things private and how much are things public? 23andMe, first of all, is some company that's doing DNA swabs. So whoever is paid, because you pay yourself to get the DNA swab and give them your DNA. Now that's some powerful information right there, knowing the population's DNA swab. And it's interesting because the owner of the company decided that they don't want to go public because public records have to be released. At that point, she's trying to keep it private at this point. So her whole board dang near stepped down, at least the independent advisors. They didn't agree with that. And inside of that corporate meeting, y'all could tell how it went. It was a split decision. And because it was a split decision, she got them out of there. They quit. Now, who quits making money? Some people do. But nah, you don't quit great revolutionary companies. You quit because there's some fundamental conflicts of interest. Some people wanted that company to go public. Some people wanted it to stay private. The owner wanted it to stay private. So in those corporate meetings, in those corporate minutes, they stated that way. Oh, it's a public LLC that they're running through, no doubt about it. Or a C Corp, no doubt about it. They clearly said, we want to keep this private. And that's something that you really got to look into is, how do we know something's public or how do we know something's private? Well, here you go. Contract makes the law. So if the contract states that it's private, now y'all say, okay, and this is now legal advice, financial advice. It can say, oh, it's private, right? Yeah, a lot of people come to us with that private talk. Oh, I got a private trust, Christian involved. This is what the alphabet letters say. It's not about the form. It's not about the entity. It's about the substance. Oh, so you driving your car in the trust? Oh, okay. You got clothes in the trust? Your clothes. Like you actually have your clothes in the private trust. Oh, okay. So how do you get clothes? Okay. So how did where do you live? Oh, you're not a property manager, huh? You're an owner. Or you gave the trust some assets and now it's taking care of these assets. Is there a contract in place? Is there the form or is there the substance? Do you have the substance? Do you have the minutes? Do you have the corporate or the trust minute that says, hey, this is what we did today. This is what we talked about today. They make the minutes so complicated. Why, trustees? Because they're not used to doing business for themselves. That's all it is. If you have to do business for yourself, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, you know that you have to keep records, whether it's the P&L of the actual numbers or the story. So yes, you should be keeping track of the records. Simple. Take a recording. Go get a voice recorder. People have voice recorders on their phone. Oh, trust Christian, say I'm out and I'm not near the formal actual trust document with the minutes. Why couldn't you make a minute on the fly? You're a trustee. You're the trustee over the trust. State in the minutes at times, hey, we might have to update the records on the fly. So guess what? That means that we might have to create minutes on the fly. That means we may not use the formal system that we always use of this, that, and the third. We might have to do a on the minute, excuse us, a on the fly minute. Okay, then write that in the doc. What's wrong with that? And what's interesting to us is we don't know too many people on the internet doing trustee training because it's not exciting. Who wants to do a minute? We've heard for years people don't want to do a minute. We could call them lazy. Whoa, now we just gotta say they don't know that they don't know. Okay, well once you know that you gotta do the minute, they still don't want to do the minute at times. Why? Because it's holding you accountable. Oh man, once we put something on paper, oh man, once we put something on video, oh man, once we put something on audio, that's a fact. Exactly. You gotta be held accountable to those two. Did we do that? Did we not do that? This is how you keep order in your organization. Straight up, ladies and gentlemen. How do you keep order in the organization? Once again, Robert's rules. Uh, we'll just go ahead and give out some like secret stuff because a lot of times people don't know. A lot of the wealthy and elite, it's a secret society. So before a meeting, we start out with our goals and we visualize the goals. And so once we visualize our goals, we do that at the beginning of the meeting and we do that at the end of the meeting. So we could state this because the average individual is not going to do it. They're not going to state a goal and visualize it before a meeting with other people that may not be their race or ethnicity or the same gender. Most people don't even have the same religion. How you going to visualize something if you're not the same religion? Not every religion believes in visualization. So we can see how the hangups happen. But at the beginning of the meeting, you have the minutes. You write down the minutes. We write down what we're here to do, and we visualize it. And then as we visualize it, we actually can come out with solutions. Once again, secret society mentality, like that's not normal stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We can just tell that ain't resonate like that. Like why? Because the average individual, they gonna tell you, well, I don't know how to visualize. Second of all, the average individual is not a leader. How they gonna lead a board meeting? How they gonna lead a trust meeting? How they gonna lead a corporate meeting? How they gonna lead it? All right, well, you might not need to lead it, but you might want to say, look, I'm gonna bring value to the table because I'm gonna record it. I'm going to have a secretary. Every trust should have a secretary. Who is that? It could be automatic, like they got humans as secretaries, but they end up calling it an automatic secretary, which is just some automated device that records things, and it's like a bot. It can give back feedback from time to time. You're supposed to have a secretary attached. I mean, assigned in trust. Supposed to have somebody looking over the finance. Why not have somebody? Why not have an accountant? See, trustees, we gonna give y'all something creative when we gonna hop off. Basically, y'all can go get it. Every trustee comes. Oh man, I gotta make sure I'm doing the accounting rate, Christian, because just Christian, I gotta make sure I'm doing the accounting rate. I just gotta make sure I'm doing the accounting rate. Like that's everything to me. Okay, so won't you interview accountants, interview CPAs, ask them what's their hourly rate, and get them to sit in on a meeting once a month. Get them to sit in on a meeting every other week. $400, $200. That's record keeping. Hey, we're gonna go over these corporate. We're gonna go over these corporate, or we're gonna go over these trust minutes. We're gonna look at the P&Ls. Look over this while we're sitting here. Tell us if it's legit. They're doing an outside audit. Maybe they're doing a compilation report. Either way, they're doing a record. You're having them sit there with their experience, their professional experience. It's that simple. How do you find a secretary? I mean, how do you find a treasurer for the trust? Oh, I gotta find a treasurer. I gotta make sure I'm doing it right. I gotta make sure I'm finding an accountant. Make sure I'm doing it right because I don't want to mess up. I'm afraid to make a mistake because I've never made a mistake in my life before trust Christian involved. Like that's true. I don't want to make a mistake in trust. Right. Well, if you don't want to make a mistake, did you go find somebody on your team? Go find somebody that. See, people come to us. Oh, I want to open up an office. I want to open up a private office. How you gonna open up a private office? You don't have $30 to $100 million. You have to hire a staff. But if you're not able to hire a staff, even to not hire a staff, you can contract out. The trust can contract out with an accountant to do record keeping once a month. To have a lawyer sitting on the meeting. Lawyers don't cost that much nowadays. A lot of them don't. Some of them do, some of them don't. But y'all can have a lawyer sit in the meeting. Even if it's y'all ain't gotta have them actually travel no more. Y'all could do corporate meetings, trust meeting minutes, literally from a Zoom, and have it recorded, and having them just sitting there, listening, and then at the end, hey, give any feedback. You record that they're in here. You record how much they were sitting here for. You record their name, their experience. You create those things. Then they reach out to the vault and trustee training and they see, wow, we actually have a minute template book. You can feel free to reach out. Yes, that's a part of the training. A minute template book has various different templates. So you got to record those minutes in different templates. Some of them may require visuals. Some of them can just be auditory. That's up to you though, as the trustee. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. We got the Legacy Blueprint Workshop coming up. And we got Tiffany. Definitely appreciate her in the Advantage Advisory Group. Bringing in Brent, who is really going to come in and talk about the banking once again, which a lot of families need to benefit from the banking. The price on the screen, $150 per person, $220 a couple. It's going to be in Chicago. We look forward to seeing and hearing from you. It's no virtual. It's all in person. Always been in person. Always will be in person. And lunch will be provided. So, great location. Really excited about it. And looking forward to hearing from people and seeing how to actually tidy up the family estate. The family estate can be tidied up just off the minutes alone. The minutes are a part of the substance. Sure, you got the entity. Everybody says, oh, I'm in trust Christian Vault. I got me a trust, but I don't really know how to use it. I don't really know how to work it. I don't really know how to do everything that I want to know how to do. Okay, so what can you do? Let's go to the minutes. And then let's update the minutes. Do you know how to sign? Do you sign as a trustee all the time, or even as a trustee, are you signing as a trustee all the time, or do you pick and choose when you're going to sign as a trustee? Just like, for example, if a trustee is working in the corporate side that the trust may own a corporate business. So, are you acting as a trustee, or are you acting as a corporate officer? Two different positions. So, once again, do you sign properly those corporate minutes, or do you sign properly those trust minutes? Are you aware? Are you conscious? That's what happens. Are you aware of that? So once you record it, whether it's verbal, auditory, now we could say if you do a visual one or you do an auditory one and it's transcribed through the paper, that makes it a lot easier. You just take the paper and you have the paper now. You add it to the trust minutes or the corporate minutes. But at the same time, what happens if you need to use that minute in the future? You could get it notarized. You could get it witnessed or you could get it notarized. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, I thought it was supposed to be private, right? Because if you go to the public notary, it's not a private notary, it's a public notary. They're publicly bonded. They're not privately bonded, they're publicly bonded. Once again, if it's a public bond servant, is it public or private? Oh, okay, no, it's just basically a public witness saying that you signed this document. Oh, okay, great. So what's the benefit of that? It's great because now the public, when you enter into the public, you have a contract in place that the corporate these people are going to be involved and all that other good stuff. As far as them validating that you are who you say you are for a corporate minute, even on the trust minute, they validating who you say you are. How they gonna validate it? A lot of people say, "Oh man, I got my own idea. I don't got my government identity. I ain't no government puppet. I'm me." Okay, so do you know how to identify properly as the trustee or the corporate officer? Because if you know how to present as the corporate officer or the trustee, why would you be engaging with the social as far as you thinking about it for yourself? A lot of people think about that social. So let's focus and say, how do we separate those things? Ladies and gentlemen, you just got to do a minute. Just start doing minutes. Set a schedule and do a minute. Sundays, late night, whenever. Maybe you got the energy in the morning. Some people don't have energy at night to do things. Y'all have to be okay with that. We're aware of that. So then do the minute in the morning. We do minutes in the morning actually in the AM live just because it's a little bit easier to knock out what will be a hard task or a task that really a lot of people don't want to do anyways. So for example, I'll say, what does a minute look like visually or video wise? Some of y'all may watch these movies where people go into space and they record a video and they just send it back to planet Earth. That's all you got to do. Think of yourself on a spaceship and you're recording a record, you're recording a minute for your successor trustees back on planet Earth. Think about how you would think when you send in those messages. Your urgency is going to be high, your directness is going to be high. Your directness is going to be super high because you don't know what's going to go through or not going to go through, so you're going to be clear. You want to be clear with these messages. You know, you're not going to be long-winded. You're going to be short. Hey, just want to let you know, man, this is what we did. This is what I cared about you, blah, blah. That's what you do. Are they short? They're not short, but they aren't. It's not one sentence. Maybe it is, but for the most part, it's about 3 or 4 or 5 sentences when it comes to corporate minutes or trust minutes. Each entry has a few different protocols to it. Name of the entity, if it's any type of addressing situation, address this, the mailing address, the phone number, blah blah. You got the trustees names, you got the actual thing we are supposed to talk about, the things that we actually resolved in this meeting. It's a lot to it. Okay, we're gonna be we if anything, you might even record the minute before you actually record the minute, meaning that you practice the minute before you record it. Yeah, why? Because you understand this is the easiest way for you to do it and to actually have it done. So then do that. And we encourage trustees to do that. Make it a point to find what's the easiest way. Oh man, I'm an auditory learner. I'm a visual learner. I'm a kinesthetic learner. Okay, well, if it's this all these different various types of learners, do you know what type of learner you are? Do you know what type of information giver you are? And once you're aware of that, you just practice it. That's how you record the minutes. Set a schedule, record it in a medium that, oh man, could that be selfish that you're doing it in a medium that you prefer? Sure, we all have to learn people skills. So if a person learns people skills, they'll know, okay, that's just how that person was communicating. That's it. But neglect is a real thing. You don't want to do that. You really want to be proactive. And even when it comes to trustee minutes, a lot of trustees say, "Oh man, do I got to record everything?" We recommend that you record everything. Why? Because when you record everything, you're not missing anything. But when you don't record enough, then we already know what time it is. You're like, it's just a small hole in someone's game. So we're here to walk with families on the one-on-ones and actually work with them in that capacity, one-on-ones. And we've been successful at it before, and we're going to continue to be successful at it because all you got to do is what you're doing on a regular basis. Are you recording the minutes? If you're not, then this episode should give you some insight on how to record corporate/trust minutes. These are things people say, oh, how often should I do them? We recommend that you do them at least every week. And if you don't do them every week, you should do them every month. So you either going 52 times a year or you going 12 times a year. If you're not going to go 12 times a year, y'all can go half every other week or something like that. And that could look like about 20 something times a year. You just creating different various minutes. How long should the minutes take? Think about it. If y'all live like the IRS live, y'all would know how long it takes to write a minute and read a minute. They tell y'all that in the packages for the publications. They tell you when you're reading the publication, this is how long it should take to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. People got to get themselves ideas and timelines, time frames. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. E Duns, always appreciate you. Um, for tuning in live, listen, replay. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com for the next workshop, the Legacy Blueprint Workshop in Chicago on the 26th. Feel free to refer any friends or family, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Looking forward to hearing from you all, even about corporate minutes or trust minutes. Peace and joy.